No immediate plans to increase tax on fuel. Federal government assures Nupeng.
The tax reform bills and the Tax Act will not become operational until 2026.
Voices amplify for school protection as a shared national responsibility.
Education is not a privilege, but a right.
We must collectively rise to ensure that no child's dream is truncated by insecurity.
Plus, how is restoration of damaged Abuja-Kaduna rail line progressing?
Give or take.
By end of this week.
All these, the track should be completed.
Good evening and welcome to the Network News. I am Olajide Bello. Joining me from Lagos is Adiola Komiakere. Benny Adams will keep us up to speed with the latest in the world of business. Benny, what's trending?
Well, just at the ongoing intra-African trade fair holding in Algiers, a multi-billion-dollar deal has just been signed to accelerate intra-African trade and trade on the continent. Stay tuned for more details.
All right, many thanks, Benny. Mbade Adile, our sports guy, what's our fate with Nigeria's 1-1 draw in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifier?
And not the best of news, Olajide and of course Nigeria, talking about the Super Eagles are in danger of missing out on a second consecutive FIFA World Cup. We'll talk more about that when we get to sports.
All right, many thanks. You can watch these broadcasts live on our website, nta.ng/live, and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen. Nigeria has restated commitment to strengthening the country's bold economic reforms that are geared towards industrialization. Vice President Kashim Shettima stated this at the 66th Annual Conference of the Nigerian Economic Society held in Abuja. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
Rethinking Africa's development pathways to economic transformation and social inclusion in a changing global economic landscape is the theme of the 66th Annual Conference of the Nigerian Economic Society. Participants drawn from 22 African countries at this meeting, brainstorming on how to harness technology towards scaling capacity development and social inclusion to co-create policy dialogues in advancing Africa's transformation.
We recognize that the reforms of the past 2 years have stabilized our economy and reposition it for sustainable growth. However, this reform will be complemented by adequate social investments and measures to shield the economy from deindustrialization and increase dependence on food imports.
This hall consists of those who should lead the paradigm shift in drawing attention to what we must do differently and urgently. And luckily, they have the material because of what has been done in Nigeria in the last 2.5 years.
The livestock sector today, I want to tell you, is the next crude oil after the crude oil.
This moment is so symbolic, and it is being performed by 3 pillars of our economic community.
Vice President Kashim Shettima is among the 14 awardees conferred with the Society's highest award, Fellow of the Nigerian Economic Society. President Bola Tinubu remains committed to diversifying the Nigerian economy, as Vice President Kashim Shettima described the Nigerian leader as a man with the political will to take bold decisions.
To catch up with this changing world, Africa must embrace structural transformation that embeds its human capital and reverse unemployment. Poverty must be confronted head-on, for the promise of this continent to be realized in the lives of our people. There is no justification for the low per capita income that afflicts our nations amidst the resources at our disposal. We are in a position to harness our youth bulge and transform them into demographic dividends instead of the much feared demographic disaster that is expected to consume all of us.
Vice President Shettima assures that Nigeria has a unique position to fill with its youthful population, and the Tinubu administration is ready to work with stakeholders in turning Nigeria's potential into global assets. In Abuja, Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
And to the oil and gas sector, the federal government has clarified that it has no immediate plan to implement a 5% fuel surcharge, dispelling speculations about an impending tax hike on fuel. Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edun, made the clarification while briefing journalists on the matter. Neka Oko reports.
The clarification comes as part of efforts to address public concerns regarding provisions in the recently introduced Nigeria Tax Act 2025. The minister explained that the inclusion of the fuel surcharge clause in the act was solely for the purpose of harmonization and transparency within the tax framework and will not automatically take effect on 1st January 2026.
Let me re-emphasize and underscore the following. The tax reform bills and the Tax Act will not become operational until 2026, January 1, 2026. And the 5% fuel surcharge, which is mentioned therein, will not automatically come into effect. And as of today, no order has been issued, none is being prepared, and there is no plan, there is no immediate plan to implement any surcharge.
He said implementation will only take effect when his office issues an order published in the official gazette following careful consideration of economic conditions. He stressed that the provision is not a new measure from the current administration, but originally from the FEMA Act of 2007, intended to create a dedicated fund for road maintenance and infrastructure. In Abuja, Neka Oko, NTA News.
And joining me via Zoom to talk more on this is Taiwo Oyedele, the Chairman, Presidential Tax Reform Committee. Glad to have you join us on the Network News.
Thank you and good evening.
All right, now, under the proposed 5% tax on fuel is a fossil fuel surcharge under the new Nigerian Tax Act 2025, which takes effect in January 2026, of which you are central to. Could you explain the core rationale behind the proposed 5% fossil fuel surcharge, and why is this specific tax being introduced at this time?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I think first and foremost, it's important to clarify, like the Honorable Minister of Finance and CME said, this is not a new tax that was being introduced by this government. It has always been in the Federal Road Maintenance Agencies Act since 2007, but it wasn't implemented. It's also not a tax that is being proposed. So it's not being proposed, because being proposed means something that wasn't there before. Government is thinking of introducing it. It's not being proposed. What has happened was, in the process of tax harmonization and looking at the new laws, government made the decision about taxes that needed to go, like excise on telecommunications, cybersecurity law, and a host of other taxes. And those that have some basis for them to be sustained, either for immediate implementation or for future consideration. So this is the bucket where the surcharge came in. It wasn't even introduced in the bill by the president as submitted to the National Assembly. It was something that happened much later on in the process of legislating the bills into law. Now, this is a common practice around the world as one of the veritable ways of generating revenue dedicated to road infrastructure that we know can easily make travel safer, can cut down on travel time and travel costs, logistic costs, and therefore benefit the country and bring down prices. So I think it's more around how do we implement it in a way that does not affect pump prices. Maybe you have to deliberate about, exchange rates, appreciating, price of crude oil in the international market coming down before you can introduce. It might even be done in phases, so you don't see movement in the pump price. And then ensure there's a proper governance structure for every #1 collected from that source, whenever it is that is introduced, to be used for road infrastructure development.
Okay, now, how does this tax fit into the broader strategy of the Presidential Fiscal Policy and Tax Reform Committee to simplify Nigeria's tax system and reduce tax burden on Nigerians?
Yeah, great question. So one of the very clear mandates of our committee, as given to us by Mr. President, is to reduce the number of taxes and also harmonize how taxes are collected and administered, and ensure there is better transparency in how tax revenues are utilized. So part of that process was the reason that led to the fact that in the original law that introduced this surcharge in 2007, it was meant to be collected by the FEMA. FEMA was supposed to actually collect the tax. They should keep 40% and give 60% to the states. So as part of our harmonization, we said, well, FEMA should not be collecting taxes. They are not a tax agency. That if the time comes and it becomes appropriate to collect this tax, it should be collected by the Nigerian Revenue Service. So that is part of the harmonization of how it is administered. Then the other important thing that happened with these new tax laws is that this implementation cannot just happen, spontaneously. FEMA cannot just wake up one day and say we are now collecting it. Like we've seen with cybersecurity, we've seen with custom collecting 4%. These were laws that were enacted before this government, and they were just being implemented, almost spontaneously. So the language in the tax law says, no, you cannot do that. Before we even implement this law, if at all, it has to be by an order issued by the finance minister and published in the official gazette, so that you cannot hide and just introduce a tax like that. So, right. When, for example, the TUC said they want to go on strike to reverse, and I said, what are you reversing? It hasn't been introduced. Why are you reversing it? Like the Honorable Minister said, this tax has not been introduced. There's no plan as of yet, and no order is being prepared to that effect.
All right. Many thanks, Mr. Taiwo Oyedele, the Chairman, Presidential Tax Reform Committee, for your thoughts on the network news. I know you have loads and loads of information for us. Many thanks for your thoughts.
Thank you very much.
Well, National Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers has suspended its nationwide strike after Dangote Refinery accepted unionization of its workers. This was the outcome of a meeting between representatives of the federal government, the organized labor and Dangote Group, where they signed a memorandum of understanding that unionization can commence immediately and will be completed within 2 weeks. That the employer will not set up any other union and no employee of Dangote Refinery and petrochemicals will be victimized. Parties will revert to the Minister of Labour in 2 weeks' time on the level of implementation of the MOU. And heading to the National Assembly. The National Assembly has communicated Senator Natasha Akpoti that her resumption is not administrative but subjudice, as her suspension is pending before the Court of Appeal. The communication was in response to a letter to the clerk of the National Assembly from Senator Natasha about her intention to resume Senate duties, and her suspension period expires on the 4th of September. The acting clerk to the National Assembly, as directed, informed Senator Natasha that the suspension will be reviewed as soon as the judicial process on the matter is concluded. Senator Natasha was suspended for 6 months on the 6th of March 2025 for violating Senate standing rules with regards to sitting arrangement in the Senate chamber. The House of Representatives Committee on Land Transport has asked the Minister of Transportation, Said Kali, to appear before Parliament in 48 hours over the recent derailment of a Kaduna-bound train conveying 618 passengers. At a scheduled investigative hearing attended by the management of the Nigerian Railway Corporation, members of the House Committee expressed concern over the minister's absence. Lawmakers unanimously resolved to suspend the probe until the minister appears in person to respond to questions regarding the train derailment.
We demand the presence of the Honorable Minister within 48 hours to appear before this Honorable House, to account to Nigerians on the derailment, the recent devastating derailment between Abuja, Kaduna Rail.
This meeting cannot really proceed, and it is not because we are not here. We are ready to go on with this process. We want to investigate the issues that have been happening, the incessant issues, threatening the lives of Nigerians concerning our railways.
Thanks for being there, and we are not done yet with updates from the train derailments, as there are indications that the Nigerian Railway Corporation's words and corresponding actions will fast-track the restoration of the Abuja-Kaduna train services. Transport correspondent Ladibala has the latest on the efforts so far. Let's go to the report.
The recent train derailment has disrupted the socio-economic lives of Nigerians who prefer the mode of transportation. However, progress is being made.
The coast is becoming clearer, and the hope of getting the damaged rail lines fixed is heightened following efforts of the Nigerian Railway Corporation.
The deployment of this crane is a game changer, enabling the team to make significant progress in clearing the derailed coaches. The affected coaches have been lifted and moved to a maintenance site. The locomotive is expected to be evacuated soon.
We're able to move 2 coaches that ordinarily there's no way we would have been able to do it without a crane. Because one was crossing the track, the other one was up there, but we brought it down.
We are all excited because our MD has tried and make the work very easy for us with the help of the crane.
And my role here is to prepare the track, to receive and to take away the rolling stock, the ones we are recovering, and after which the track will be restored then for traffic.
Nigerians have been assured of timely completion of the repair work and restoration of service.
Give or take.
By end of this week.
All this should be, the track should be completed. They will now start stabilization check, safety audit check for, let's say, another 1 week to make sure that everything is ready. Then we now face the issue of customer relations.
The railway workers are enthusiastic about the progress, eager to return to normal operations. In Abuja, Ladibala, NTA News.
And still on transportation safety, in an effort to curtail incidences of boat mishaps in Nigeria, the National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, amongst other measures, has placed an immediate ban on loading activities from all unauthorized points across the country. The Managing Director of NIWA, Bola Oyebamiji, says it is mandatory for all commercial boat operators to provide and enforce the use of life jackets on boats always. Chukunonso Nwabweze reports.
Despite the efforts of federal government, issues of boat mishaps on the nation's inland waterways have been on the increase recently, with numerous fatalities. To address this challenge, the National Inland Waterways Authority, NIWA, is taking more stringent measures at ensuring strict adherence to water transportation codes across the nation's water.
NIWA has placed an immediate ban on loading activities from all unauthorized loadings points across the country. No commercial passenger boat shall be allowed to load from any point other than those recognized and registered by NIWA.
The Managing Director, while re-emphasizing the agency's unrelenting advocacy and enlightenment on the importance of wearing life jackets, appealed to the National Assembly to pass the bill seeking the establishment of coastal guards.
The authority believes that an important operational tool such as coastal guards will go a long way in strengthening its enforcement drive for better results.
Oyebamiji commended the support of the federal government through the Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy and called on the riverine states to collaborate with NIWA in the areas of safety campaigns, training of boat operators, procurement and distribution of life jackets, provision of landing platforms, and deployment of modern passenger ferries. Chukunonsonwa Bweze, NTN News.
And talking health, Nigeria is charting a new path for renewed, reliable and sustainable power supply to the country's health sector. Salwa Khalil Ibrahim reports that stakeholders are at the first national dialogue on power in the health sector are joining forces to close the gaps and address the challenges.
The intersection of energy access and healthcare delivery has never been more evident, and according to the World Bank, over 300 babies are lost each year in communities due to lack of reliable electricity for neonatal care. We have also heard of patients dying during critical medical procedure, also due to power outage.
They want to do operation, they are expecting light, there is no light. Or sometimes they will be looking for diesel up and down.
Without light, there won't be oxygen supply. Those people in the theater, how will they save their life?
To address these issues, therefore, government officials at all levels are convened on Abuja to provide workable solutions.
The time has come for us to jointly take stock and put all hands on deck to address the access and quality limiting effects of energy poverty in our health sector.
This is not just about powering buildings. It is about powering hope, powering dignity, and powering the future of our nation.
If we can get this power sorted and we can get internet connectivity and the digital transformation, our health system will leapfrog. Suddenly it will be the icon on the continent and medical tourism will become a thing of the past.
This national dialogue must not be a mere talk shop. It must yield actionable outcomes, including the review and alignment of national and subnational policies on energy access in the health sector.
The intervention is not just about infrastructure. It's about securing life and ensuring access to medical care that does not fail when the grid does. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
And away from health, national scholars under the Renewed Hope Initiative National Scholarship Program, NASP, have taken delivery of a third tranche of 1 million naira to further aid the academic pursuit. Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu handed out the fund along with brand new laptops during a midterm assessment and interactive session with the scholars. State House correspondent Adeni Ita reports that beyond the scholarship, beneficiaries also got tips on early start in business.
National scholars under the Renewed Hope Initiative National Scholarship Program in 2023, an initial sum of 1 million naira and a laptop delivered to them to support their educational pursuit.
The money given to you is a lot, but that doesn't mean that you should go and become lazy.
What started out then as sponsorship evolved into mentorship at this midterm assessment and interactive session held by Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu with the scholars. The session, which saw the First Lady heading a panel and engaging directly with the scholars, seeks to measure impact and, more importantly, raise unusual students who intentionally combine learning with earning.
I want to ask you, what do you also add to the table?
That question, followed by a submission, shaped the content of the interactive session as the First Lady, drawing from personal experiences, harped on the need for the scholars to exploit the environment by undertaking small business ventures.
Do something to add to what you've already been given. It's good for you to learn a skill or something that can help you.
I just want to encourage you, just put more effort and be a source of pride and ambassadors of Renewed Hope Initiative.
The computer that Renewed Hope Initiative this has given to you, this is your gateway to the world.
Therefore, if you have the skills, don't just keep it to yourself. Try and do something so that people will see what you can do.
And never look at the money and say, oh, the money is too small. And also remember that not all money is good money.
Also, in today's world, we have remote working. So check for opportunities for remote work wherever you're not entrepreneurial. I would advise you to always save, trust God, and stay focused.
The panel was not disappointed, as feedback from the cohort of 47 scholars indicates that a new crop of entrepreneurs is already in the making.
For the past 2 years, I've been a professional graphic designer.
How much do you earn?
So for students, it can be around maybe 7,000 to 10,000 per job, but for people that are not students, maybe 20,000.
I sell jewelries in the hostel. I engage in cooking in bulk, and I also engage in industrial cleaning. That's what I do to support
And
myself.
you sell to your fellow students too?
Yes, ma'am.
Very smart.
Question and answer session soon gave way to another round of empowerment as the scholars received another 1 million naira, marking the third tranche in their scholarship from RHI, along with a brand new laptop, courtesy of National Information Technology Development Agency, NITDA. It is expected to serve as a fresh motivation for the scholars to study and work. From the banquet hall of the presidential villa, Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
Nigeria's First Lady Oluremi Tinubu says education as a foundation of hope must be safeguarded in order to secure the future. This is in her message marking this year's International Day of Protecting Education from Attack. She says the theme of the celebration, Challenging Narratives, Reshaping Action, is a call to move beyond words and take stronger action to safeguard education. While applauding security agencies in the country for doing their best, the First Lady notes that protecting schools must remain a shared national priority. Meanwhile, for many Nigerian children, the dream of learning in safety is still threatened by insecurity. As the world marks International Day to Protect Education from Attack, the Federal Ministry of Education, through its Safe School Unit, reminds the nation that schools should be sanctuaries of hope where children can learn, play and grow without fear. The report.
For many young Nigerians, school is more than just a classroom, but a place where futures are nurtured and built. For Emmanuel, a student of Federal Government Boys College, Abuja, schools must be given proper priority with safety guaranteed, especially in regions prone to threats.
Our teachers are well trained and our housemasters are living with us in the hostel. So we feel safe. Any attack that is to come, they have precautions to take.
Education is not a privilege, but a right. It's the key to freedom, it's opportunity, and it is national progress.
So we're joining our voices globally, not just in Nigeria, to say let's keep our children safe in schools.
Stakeholders agreed that reshaping actions means moving beyond rhetorics to practical steps, training teachers on emergency response, involving communities in surveillance, and providing psychosocial support for traumatized learners.
We must collectively rise to ensure that no child's dream is truncated by insecurity.
The determinant factor becomes that these children must be safe from all forms of attacks.
By confronting the narrative of fear and insecurity, Nigeria aims to rewrite the story of its schools by transforming them into safe spaces where dreams are nurtured, not destroyed.
And away from the education sector, the Shuarin to Isari 28.9-kilometer road project in Jigawa State may soon be revoked following what authorities describe as poor performance and failure to meet contractual standards. This was when the state governor, Umar Namadi, paid an unscheduled visit to the site, expressing disappointment over the state of the road. Muhammad Musa Askira has details.
The multi-billion naira project awarded in early 2023 at the cost of over 6.6 billion naira with a 12-month completion timeline is yet to reach even 50% completion nearly 3 years after commencement. During an inspection visit, Governor Umar Namadi expressed deep disappointment at the pace of work. The governor noted that despite government's commitments to infrastructure development, such delays were unacceptable and could no longer be tolerated. However, the site engineer attributed the setback setback to the rainy season, claiming it had hindered progress on the road construction. Governor Namadi warned that government will not hesitate to revoke the contract if the contractor fails to meet expectations and deliver quality work for the benefits of the people.
It's almost 3 years, and the progress of the work is not satisfactory at all. And I think there is need. I have asked the contractor and the consultant and everybody to come to my office because we will not continue to tolerate this kind of sluggish work. And as of today I'm speaking, the contractor has no single certificate with us outstanding. So there is no reason why this work should not go.
For the people of Shuari and Isari, among other villages along the road, the completion of the road remains a much anticipated project that could ease transportation and boost economic activities in the area. Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
On time to join Adiola in Lagos for stories making the rounds from that zone. Good evening, Adiola. Good to see you. Good evening, Adiola.
The telecom sector in Nigeria is experiencing a significant skills gap driven by several factors, including a shortage of skills and emerging technologies. The Nigerian Communications Commission asserts that addressing this gap requires substantial investment in workforce development, strong collaboration between industry and academia, and effective national initiatives. Adejoke Odeka tells us more.
The Nigerian Communications Commission has identified a pressing concern in the telecoms sector, a talent gap between indigenous skills and investor requirements. Despite initiatives to boost the industry, this disparity poses a significant challenge to progress and growth.
Most of the people we even have trained locally are not trained to the right standards.
We have a situation where you have a lot of people who can do high-skilled things, but you have very few people who are doing lower-skilled things.
To bridge the skill gap, a multifaceted approach is essential, combining strategic collaboration, expanded digital awareness programs and training initiatives, as well as supportive government policies that drive industry growth and skill development.
We have the National Artificial Intelligence Strategy that highlights the need to ensure there is a pool of AI professionals working in Nigeria, promoting skills and knowledge transfer.
We have government policies, we have regulations, but it's to enforce these regulations and policy. That is what will help.
The more we can create more local content, the more we drive capacity, the more we drive in country, the more we now can export that capacity out of Nigeria.
Think global, act local. Fostering a globally competitive telecom sector in Nigeria necessitates collaborative stakeholder engagement to develop local talent, leverage indigenous expertise, and align academia-industry partnerships, thereby driving sustainable industry growth and advancing the nation's digital economy. In Lagos, Adejoke Odeka, NTA News.
And that's all from Lagos. The network news will continue with Olajide in Abuja after this break.
Many thanks for being there. The Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, says President Tinubu's temporary suspension of raw share export is a strategic measure to open up the vast economic potential of Nigeria's share industry and position the country as a global share processor. Represented by the Director General of the Voice of Nigeria, Jibrin Baba Ndache, at the 20th Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria's conference in Mina. The minister said the decision is to encourage local processing, commending the National Share Products Association of Nigeria for embracing the president's vision. The minister highlighted the impact of ongoing reforms under the Renewed Hope agenda, like fiscal discipline, infrastructural renewal, digital transformation, and youth empowerment. Now let's join Benny Adams for the business news segment. Benny?
Thank you, Olajide. We open business with the news that a new deal to accelerate continental trade has been unveiled in Algiers as the Intra-African Trade Fair winds down. A consortium of 5 nations has signed a multi-billion-dollar agreement with a major development bank to finance a new network of high-speed rail and digital trade corridors. The project, touted as a game-changer by officials, aims to drastically reduce the cost and time of moving goods across West and Central Africa, unlocking new economic opportunities for millions. Now, talking about the U.S. economy at this time, a number of economic experts are calling for the Federal Reserve to cut interest rates due to a recent slowdown in the U.S. economy. Why the push? It is about stimulating economic growth, lowering the federal funds rate, which is the benchmark for other interest rates, makes borrowing cheaper for both businesses and consumers. If you ask me, I tell you that's what Nigeria needs.
Rates, that means the economy is not doing so well.
Look at the Nigerian equities market at this time. The market went bullish as investors gained 254 billion naira. The all-share index also appreciated by 0.29%. A total of 659.1 billion shares in 25,320 deals, corresponding to a market value of 12.504 billion, were traded. Today's data shows 30% decline in volume, 30% decline in turnover, and another 30% decline in deals. The current market capitalization is 88.5 trillion naira, and on the aggregate, 127 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 36 gainers and 19 losers. That is it on business at this time. Olajide.
Many thanks, Benny. Moving on, and a bold step towards redefining security and strengthening trust between citizens and law enforcement agencies. Stakeholders from government, civil society and the international community have converged on Abuja for a high-level consultation on national police reforms. Francis Fom reports.
Across Nigeria, communities are demanding a policing system that is inclusive, accountable, professional, and people-centered.
At the heart of today's gathering is the recognition that police reform is not just merely an academic exercise, but a cornerstone for ensuring public safety, upholding the rule of law, and strengthening the social contract between the Nigerian state and its citizens.
Our primary function is to ensure strategic alignment and operational synergy across all reform activities.
Backing reforms with credible legislation, funding, oversight, and a predictable review mechanism so that we're learning from our mistakes. Police reform is not a sprint, but a marathon.
You must first be a good Nigerian before you can be a good policeman or woman.
UNDP is very honored to be part of this journey of advancing Nigeria police force, police reforms, and modernization efforts.
It is an exciting time. Much has been achieved and much still lies ahead. Thanks for your attention.
Speakers emphasized that the reform journey is a collective endeavor requiring the commitment of government. Francis from NTA News.
Another break beckons. The news continues in a moment. We're glad to know you're still there. And Global Update is next.
Shigeru Ishiba has said that he will step down after less than a year in power, during which he lost his majority in both houses of parliament. Ruling party lawmakers in Japan prepared their bids to replace outgoing Premier Shigeru Ishiba on Monday, as financial markets recoiled on the political uncertainty and the possibility of his successor ramping up government spending. Ishiba recalled his brief tenure on Sunday, saying he was taking responsibility for bruising elections that saw his ruling coalition lose its majority in both houses of parliament amid voter anger over rising living costs. In Africa, Cote d'Ivoire's Constitutional Council has disqualified 2 prominent opposition figures from contesting the forthcoming presidential election. The disqualified candidates are former President Laurent Gbagbo and Tijani Thiam. Both candidates had submitted their formal bids as they challenged the 83-year-old incumbent. The council responsible for finalizing the candidate list approved 5 bids for the October 2025. The decision has heightened tensions in the West African nation, where several opposition leaders have already been sidelined by court rulings. Charles Alpha, NTA News.
And over now to Bade Adele for sports update. Bade.
Many thanks, Olajide. Let's begin with football, and evidently it's about the Super Eagles of Nigeria, who earlier this evening played out a 1-0 draw with South Africa's Bafana Bafana in a World Cup qualifier. And of course, that further puts pressure on their qualification hopes. The match opened with a setback for Nigeria as captain William Troost-Ekong inadvertently scored an own goal in the 25th minute, giving South Africa the lead. Nigeria responded just before halftime through Calvin Bassey. And of course, despite chances on both ends in the second half, neither team could find a winner. South Africa remained top of Group C with 17 points, while Nigeria's path to the 2026 FIFA World Cup is now increasingly uncertain, with only 11 points from 8 matches.
And playing it into a first half. 1-0 to South Africa. Looking for a strong ending to the first half. Likely working it into the byline. Bowling! Oh, it's 1-1.
The remote cause had accumulated to put us in this position. And it's quite unfortunate 1-1 draw is not good enough. We must really find those that are responsible and make a scapegoat out of them.
It's quite disheartening, I must say, and it's troubling for we, the Nigerian fans, I must.
Meanwhile, on a tense day in African World Cup qualifiers, Nigeria's group rivals Rwanda secured a crucial 1-0 victory over Zimbabwe to stay in the hunt, while the match between Benin Republic and Lesotho is just starting. In other results, Cameroon suffered a shock 1-0 away defeat to Cape Verde, a major blow to their Group D campaign. In Group A, Egypt were held to a goalless draw by Burkina Faso, missing a chance to take control. And in one of the day's most exciting matches, Senegal edged DR Congo 3-2 in a 5-goal thriller. The race to the 2026 World Cup is heating up with just 2 rounds of matches left. Of course, that does it on Sports Tonight. Let's return to Olajide. And of course, we're still hoping, somehow, there'll be a miracle for the Super Eagles.
All right, many thanks, Bade. We'll keep our fingers crossed. And just before we go, a quick look at the weather forecast.
That you could join us. The intensity of rainfall over the northern regions is expected to reduce due to southward retreat of the intertropical discontinuity, ITD. However, thunderstorms accompanied by rain are still anticipated across parts of the north within the next 24 hours, and it's expected to extend into the north-central region. Moderate rainfall is forecast to persist across the southern parts of the country, with occasional thunderstorms likely in a few areas. Let's take a look at the forecast for some selected cities. Thank you for staying with us and have a pleasant day. I'm Safia Asaynusa.
And that's it on the Network News. Many thanks for being a part of it. I am Olajide Bello.